Good morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever time of day you're watching this video. My name, as always, is Alex, but today I am dressed like Azure Lynx, the sometimes brave but always annoying Daeshun Curtainborn, Paladin of Staza, etc., etc., etc. But the point I'm trying to make is that today I am dressed in my costume, my Halloween costume. And I'm making this video because I'm going to pass along to all you guys a message that us in the nerd community have been using for a very long time, and that is called costume does not mean consent. And what does that mean? Well, that's a good question. I can explain it right now. So consent is basically being allowed to do something. Being allowed to do something. Asking for a hug, that's getting consent for a hug. Asking to borrow my pineapple mug, that's consent. If you take my pineapple mug without asking, you don't have my consent for it, right? So that's what consent means. And now costume. I'm wearing a costume right now. This is real metal. This is real armor, right? And I've had a lot of kids coming up to me that are just coming up and they're just like tapping on it. They're just like, you know what, grabbing it and stuff. And as you can imagine, I don't really like that. People just coming up and touching me, right? So if you want to touch somebody, if you want to touch their armor, see if it's real, then just say, hey, Alex, can I check your armor? Can I touch your armor? And I'll say, for sure. Check my shoulder pad, not other places of my armor, because some places of my armor is in locations around my body that I don't want you touching. So ask, can I touch your armor? This goes for a lot of costumes that have tails or have fun little antennae up there, right? You might want to, because that tail of that person that's dressed like a cat is really fluffy. You might want to touch that tail, but don't just go up and grab it. Ask first. I've seen this a lot with kids that have the big puffy inflatable costumes, the big and fluffy inflatable unicorns, or things along those lines, right? But you might want to go up and touch it. You might want to fluff it. You might want to push into it. But you need to ask first. Just because somebody is dressed in a silly way, in a different way, in a costume, does not mean that you have the right to touch them without their permission. And here's the big one too. If they say no, then you don't say, oh, come on, just let me touch it. I just want to touch it. It's really fluffy tail, right? You say, okay. Because sometimes people don't want to be touched. Sometimes people just want to wear something and show it off, or just wear it because it makes them feel happy, but they don't want people touching them. And that's okay. Here's another thing that comes up a lot, actually, for me, honestly, because I go LARPing. I wear this costume out, and there's a whole bunch of us that get together and do this together. Some people I've known for 10 years. Some people I've just met. And those people that have known me for 10 years know me, and they're my best friends. So of course they're gonna come up and they're gonna tap my shoulder or tap my arm or be like, yo, that's a sweet new set of ears, and come up and touch me because I've known them for 10 years and I'm allowing them. We've talked about this before. But those people that have only known me for 1 day, 2 days, or strangers, they're not allowed to do that because they don't have consent. And just because you see one person touching someone's tail or one person pushing in on somebody's costume because it's inflatable does not mean that you're allowed to. Ask. That person might have asked, and that person might have been the best friend of the cat for so many years, so of course they're allowed to. But you might be a stranger to that person, and they might not want you touching them, and that's okay. So, to summarize this, costumes do not mean consent. Just because I'm wearing a costume does not mean that you're allowed to just touch me without asking. Ask before you touch someone. Ask before you touch their costume. Ask before you touch their props, their costuming, their masks, or anything like that. And if they say no, you listen to them. You don't ask again. You don't keep begging them. You listen to them. And if you see someone touching them, that doesn't mean that you're allowed to touch them too. Always ask. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderfully safe and happy Halloween. I hope you get tons of candy. And if you see me in the halls, by all means, ask to touch my armor and check it out to make sure it's real. And I'll be like, yeah, touch my shoulder pad, no problem. But always ask. So thank you so much for watching this, everybody. I love you all. You're all brilliant. And have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye.